It is I, your friendly whiskey reviewer in the bitter watches of the night, about to wrap his laughing ear around the Highland Park 10 years old Viking scars. Got to do it in the Viking voice, or else you've got no soul. Exactly what it says on the tin. Tonight I will be tasting the Highland Park 10 years old soi-disant Viking scars for your viewing, tasting, nosing pleasure. Well, more my pleasure, really. What is there to say about the Highland Park distillery? First of all, you might be mistaken and think that John is reviewing a Highland whiskey. Highland Park, Highland whiskey, sure. Well, no. Highland Park Distillery is actually in the Orkney Islands, so this is what we term an island whiskey. Highland Park was founded in 1798 by Magnus Hunsen. No, hold on. I'll do this. Magnus Johansson. Magnus Hunsen. Ah, forget it. 6 letters in his name and I still can't get it right. A little bit of extra trivia for you boffins. The Highland Park is used as part of the blend of the famous grouse. It is famous blend. It is a grouse. I've yet to have any in the house, so I've not been able to afford one because I'm a church mouse. I will get around one day to reviewing the famous grouse. So let's have a look at the box and see what we're dealing with. It is obviously a single malt. It has been aged for 10 years. It has an ABV of 43%. Now, this was released in the European market a couple of years ago at a lower ABV of 40%. But for this market here, this is the Australian market, it's where I live. This sucker is 43%, so they've given it a little bit of an uptick, as we say in the biz. And Highland Park, all their whiskies are naturally coloured. Dankeschön, Highland Park. Those first Viking pioneers who settled on our island home, they became part of Orkney and part of us, leaving their mark on our landscape, our culture, and our people. Even today, 1 in 3 islanders bears Viking DNA, and we continue to craft Highland Park with a fierce independence that's driven through our Viking bloodline. That is actually on the text. I do hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is a sweet sherry and salt sea air smell to the cork. So as I mentioned, the 10-year-old expression that was available in Europe for a short time, it was available for a short time because it was overbought. It was released and it got sold out very, very quickly, which, as I understand it, is pretty common with all the Highland Park expressions. It's a very popular single malt, and as I think you'll find throughout the course of this review, popular for a reason. Okay, so there is definite peatiness, peat smoke, but it's interwoven with sweetness. Specifically, the sweetness of light fruits. There's sherry in the nose, a good dose of spiciness, and some background oakiness. Not too much. Vestigial oakiness, if you want to get technical. Chin chin toodle pip. Peat smoke. This is probably the peatiest whiskey I've had on this channel, but it's not all that peaty. So probably about 10-15 ppm, if that, I would say. And it's intermingled with a lot of sweetness, so it's counterbalanced. The sweetness develops into a kind of, let's say, candied orange with some spices, which goes into a kind of peppery taste. And there is kind of a suggestion there of seawater. That might sound as though I'm dissing it. It's not a criticism. It's not like when you're at the beach and you accidentally gulp a whole mouthful of, of salt water. It's just a suggestion of it. It's really good because the saltiness balances the sweetness, which is really coming through. It's nice to have that there as a counterpoint. I would call this at a medium finish. And it's a trifecta with that mild salt water, pepper, and sweetness at the end. Almost a suggestion of chocolate. Milk chocolate at the end there. It's very nice. It's very well done. I like the way the sweetness starts from the nose right to the finish, and yet the character of that sweetness is constantly changing. So for me, that's very appealing. And the peatiness that is in here accentuates all the other flavors and aromas. It doesn't overshadow them, it enhances them. That's what I'm talking about. So, the Highland Park, 10 years old. As I say, from my limited experience, I see this get sold out very quickly when it does get released. So, if you are curious about it, I would highly recommend it. They sell like hotcakes. Whiskey hotcakes of doom. Well, if you have enjoyed this review, please do give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more reviews, then click the subscribe button. It usually pokes up round about there. Hope you've enjoyed this review, and I look forward to tasting another scotch, or a whiskey, or a bourbon, or a Tennessee whiskey for you salty seawater dogs very, very soon.